I'm looking for a single good argument made by the left against Trump's immigration policy, deporting illegals, especially criminal illegals. There's not one. They can only make emotional arguments, obfuscate, they're kicked back on their heels, and they can't think of anything. We're going to get Tom Homan dismantling all of the CNN lies. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel.
2 U.S. deportation flights have just landed in Guatemala as part of President Trump's ongoing immigration crackdown. CNN's senior national correspondent David Clover joins us now from Guatemala City. So, David, what do we know about these flights?
Hey, Pamela, yeah, you're right. The one that just touched down, I'm going to be very careful what we're showing here because some of the folks have asked that we not show their faces. So sometimes you'll see the camera go down to our feet. But let me give you a sense of the process because you saw them perhaps stepping onto the tarmac, and now they're at the space where you can see these folks in yellow vests who are registering these folks back into Guatemala.
Remember, the news was Colombia. Colombia took back all their illegals after they disobeyed Trump. Now, lo and behold, Guatemala is gladly welcoming the criminal aliens back into their country. That shows Trump's show of force, show of strength. And then if you're tough on the first country, you don't have to be as tough on the next countries. They know people want to follow. Just look, get in line, take them back. It's also weird how CNN will not show their faces because that would be illegal. Suddenly CNN cares about the law when it comes to showing an illegal's face. Never mind that they breached our border illegally.
For many of them, it's been years since they've lived here, and now they're trying to figure out the reintegration process.
They're having a hard time figuring out the reintegration process back into Guatemala where they came from. Yet America is such an amazingly racist country, they had no problem integrating here. And now you have a problem going back to Guatemala? I don't get it.
Over here, this is where they're walking up and getting any sort of necessities, some snacks, toiletries. They have everything from Crocs to T-shirts, shoelaces, because if you notice, many of them here, I'll show you this right down here, he doesn't have shoelaces on because that's part of the standard procedure for security to remove anything that could be used as a weapon or self-harm. And they've even got toothpaste and some other snacks.
So we're giving them toothpaste and other snacks, and we're terrible for bringing them back to their home country. Yet to get into our country, they had to pay the drug cartels $10,000 and have their entire family, especially their women and girls, abused by the border, by the illegals on the Mexico side of the border. So we give them candy, toothpaste, free Crocs, and we're the bad guys. This is CNN reporting this. They're sitting there making themselves look stupid.
And then a lot of them come over this way and they start charging their phones. I'll just move these sticks over here so you can come around here, Jerry. And that's when they're able to then try to finally reconnect with relatives and loved ones who might come to this space to pick them up.
How does he know that they're just going to be relatives and loved ones that pick them up? By the way, wouldn't you like a free charging station when you go to an airport? What if they might get picked up by their pimps and their drug lords? They're trying to paint a picture. Oh, their loved ones and families can come get them. And their corrupt criminal bosses who they send their money back to can come pick them up.
And they've got some of their belongings here. I mean, I can see a guitar case.
A guitar case. Did you guys see how the J6ers, American citizens, were treated when they were locked up? How many of them got to have their guitar case stored for them while they're being processed? Guitar case for illegal Guatemalans and all their bags full of stuff. These guys are treated very well. Fair, very fair, I'll say, more than fair.
Yeah, so the vice president welcomed this group here. It's interesting because they leave the U.S. as criminals because they illegally entered, and so that's now why they're being deported back here to Guatemala. And the vice president made a point to say that obviously this is a complicated situation. She tried to redirect it mostly to the migrants and what their situation is, but I asked about relations between the U.S. and Guatemala, especially for what we saw in the past 24 hours with Colombia. And she said, look, that's Colombia's situation. The U.S. and Guatemala have their own relationship, so she was trying to be very careful in how she navigated that.
Yeah, she'd better be very careful how she talks about us, about the host country, to the parasite of illegals of criminals that they sent in. Remember, these are the hardest criminals that they're exporting first, not innocent little victims. We'll get to those later. We'll get to the nice illegals later. But first, the highest priority were the worst offenders. So yeah, Guatemala knows to be very careful, and that goes back to why it was so great for Trump to threat a tariff on Colombia, because they all know, get in line now.
I also asked about what's different essentially between what happened the past 4 years under President Biden and what's changed since under President Trump. As far as the numbers and the capacity of folks who have been deported, that has not changed according to the vice president. That's still the same for what we saw under President Biden. In fact, in some cases, it's even gone down a little bit.
Look at this. You're going to hear this argument all week. The actual deportations aren't bigger than Biden. Biden, was exactly as much of a border, hardcore guy. Then why are you even doing a news segment on it, you idiot? If it's literally less deportations, why are you running up a headline, you moron? So someone's lying somewhere is all I'm saying. CNN is telling us, by the way, this isn't news. Trump isn't a racist. This isn't radical. Tom Homan's fine. We're not separating any more families than Biden did. In fact, Trump's doing less than Biden. He's less evil and racist than Biden or Obama. I heard on another show, Trump's doing less deportations than Obama. Oh, so then this is less newsworthy. And Trump is less mean.
What has changed, though, Pamela, is the use of military flights. And that began last Thursday here to Guatemala. And it's continuing with another military aircraft that will bring another round of deportees here to this airport in about 2 or 3 hours from now.
Yeah, I think that's really important context, that there hasn't been some big change.
That is not important context because it literally takes this whole news thing away. Nothing changed. Why are you reporting on it? It's the same as it's been for 8 years, probably 16 years. So you're only making a big deal about it to create drama against Trump because he's a political opponent. When it's your party, no news. When it's a Republican, when it's MAGA, big news.
So you hear our reporter there in Guatemala City saying that Guatemalan authorities say that actually the volume of deportation flights have not changed. The kind of flight, they're now military flights, have changed, but not the volume. I wonder, from your perspective, what's different in your view about how these raids are playing out?
Well, Jim, our communities are just, they're living in fear right now. I think that most people are being affected and are soft targets. Working class people, children. You just saw earlier today, they just knocked on this man's door and they just took him, and his family now is suffering and don't know what to do. So that's what's really happening here. It's a lot of fear going on in our communities. We just recently had a scare in one of our schools, in our Chicago public schools, where we thought that ICE had shown up. Tonight it was a secret agency, but people are just very scared right now.
So this politician just now admitted that the only difference between what was done before and now is fear. There's big fear in the communities. They're terrified. Who scared them? Tom Homan is going to destroy them all in a minute when he reveals who scared them. It's this CNN show that we're doing a report on right now. CNN is terrifying the illegals. So if they're scared, it's not Trump, because they already said Trump's doing less than the previous. So what's causing the fear? At very least, CNN.
So something crazy happened in Chicago at the end of last week. 2 Secret Service agents went to a local elementary school because they were running down a threat that was made on TikTok. They identified themselves to the school principal. They even left cards saying, look, if you want to get back to us, here's how you get back to us. Suddenly the story became that it was ICE agents who went to this school, Tom. And Pedro Martinez, the Chicago Public Schools CEO, said this. Listen here.
We had individuals that came to one of our schools, Hamline Elementary School, that presented credentials and shared that they were from ICE.
That's a lie. So who is making the illegals afraid? Saying that ICE is coming into schools and taking kids out, which so far has not happened. It is that politician. It is CNN over and over again causing the fear, then blaming Trump. Do you see how this works?
And so our staff follow the protocols. We're very clear. We've been training our principals, our security guards, any front office staff to making sure that they know that we are not to share any information with anybody from the Immigration Department or ICE.
So not only did the CEO of Chicago Public Schools pass off misinformation about U.S. Secret Service agents who were interpreted to be ICE. But listen to what J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, said after that. After a week of Republicans sowing fear and chaos, the first reports of raids in Chicago are at an elementary school, targeting children and separating families is cruel and un-American.
We're the ones sowing fear and chaos, and literally that's a Democrat sowing fear and chaos. The previous Democrat Chicago politician that we quoted, sowing fear and chaos, and CNN sowing fear and chaos, and they blame Trump. That's the pattern.
To be clear again, these were Secret Service agents running down a threat that was made on TikTok. They were not ICE agents. ICE never went near that school. What do you say to Pedro Martinez and the governor of Illinois, who appear to be not only sowing information, but fear?
Well, Pedro Martinez lied. He lied to the city of Chicago because he knew it was Secret Service agents, because I talked to the people involved. They left their credentials. He knew exactly who were there, so he lied. Again, sowing fear in the immigrant community.
CNN passed that lie on. All of news media on the left passed that lie on because they want to let you know they did not learn their lesson from the last election. They're going to keep screwing. They're going to lie to you and screw all of these networks into the ground. It has not changed. Liberals cannot learn a lesson because they're incapable. They do not introspect. It's a religion to them. They cannot change their religion. They have to keep lying about Trump, Tom Homan, and even they're creating terror, immoral, damaging terror in illegals. The people they're supposed to have compassion for. They're cruel.
And Governor Pritzker, rather than calling ICE and asking us, did this happen or did it not happen, he goes on social media and terrifies the elementary schools that ICE agents are walking in there. No, he accuses me of terrifying the community. No, he terrified the community. He terrified the children. You know what ICE did yesterday? They saved children. We arrested 9 sexual predators, many of them child sex predators. We saved children. ICE saved children. We're not going to schools and scaring the hell out of them. Governor Pritzker deserves, he needs to give ICE an apology. What he did was just plain wrong, and by doing that, he put fear in the community that shouldn't have to be there. Children shouldn't have to fear ICE agents walking into an elementary school to arrest them.
Tom Homan, Trump, Kristi Noem, the Republicans, we're saving children's lives. We're removing people who damage children, and Democrats are providing cover for them, socially trying to distract you from the truth. They are the danger. I'm Doug in exile. Subscribe.